Cool. Here we go. October 15th, 2021, my first meeting in 3 weeks. It's been crazy. I've really enjoyed keeping up to speed on these, though. Appreciate both Ben and Ms. for stepping in and hosting these in my absence. Happy to be back. Huge couple weeks. We'll focus on this week. For the team, some big announcements. We've got both Jackie and Lauren starting this week. I think they both kind of got ramped up as of Monday. And everyone, please reach out, set up some time, get to know each other. This is quite exciting. We've got 2 more offers out as well. So the team is continuing to grow. It's amazing to see all the powerhouses joining and just the instant progress and kind of step change each one of them brings. We're also going to be firing up another round of Eng hiring. I'll leave that. I think Scott's got some details on that later on in the meeting. But basically looking at the roadmap, modeling out what we'll need. It's clear we need to continue bringing in Eng resources. This week, we had a really awesome feature on Good Morning America. We got a screenshot right there, which is kind of surreal to see. Amazing work for everyone who made this happen. It came out about as well as we could have imagined. So very positive for us and for CGM generally. Casey went round 3 with New York Times and round 2 with the New Yorker this week. So more pieces in work. Those publications are really taking an interest in the future of digital health, which is amazing and unexpected, in my opinion. And then we just had a really huge response to the announcement for David Sinclair joining the team as an advisor. So that was all quite successful. Phase 1 of Levels memberships is live. I'm going to leave that to JM to add more detail, but exciting stuff. Nutrition Marketplace pilot, as everyone knows, is live. I think that we're at something like 10 member nutritionist conversations underway. I'll leave that to Tom as well, but very cool that we've got both of these live and it looks absolutely beautiful. I've had several people comment on just how nice that feature launched. And then tons of product and design progress, tagging concepts, concepts for heads-up display. I really liked this concept here where there's like draggable modals that Alan had put together. And these will allow someone to potentially, organize their own dashboard for their body in this future where we have real-time streaming data. And a couple fun metrics. So 33 full-time team with $7 million in revenue, which again, we're not in growth, but it is exciting to look at the growth curve there. 150,000 on the wait list and 1.3 million food logs. So big numbers. It's really exciting to see. And then a couple other things to mention. Casey spoke at the Metabobesity conference this week, Levels in the Wild. So this is my sister. She spotted this on the Hermosa Pier this week. It's always exciting. Ben and Wiz recorded a whole new Level podcast. Sam had his funded 2-part episode re-released as a single part, which is an amazing, I think it's going to be looked back on as kind of a pivotal moment in VC fundraising. It sounds like people are already taking the tactical approach that Sam spoke about in that podcast and using it in their own companies. So it's going to be cool to see how that continues to grow. And then we launched our Levels 2021 year in review on YouTube. Had a bunch of great UGC. Uncommon Schools, which is a charter school group, is launching a study with Whoop. And I think they're going to be incorporating Levels for their teachers. So we got another really interesting study opportunity there. And then Jesse Itzler and Mona Sharma, I think they have 1,000 people who are potentially going to be exposed to Levels in a very detailed and in-depth way. So exciting stuff. Oh yeah, and then Casey and Rich roll up here. Very cool to see. I believe that is it. Oh yeah, and we're going to do the Lifespan Book Club, which Braden is taking point on for the next community project. Awesome week. I want to welcome Leah Culver. Leah is one of our investors. She's a founder. She's a builder, and she's been phenomenally helpful to us throughout, whether it's growing our pipeline, giving us feedback on how to design job descriptions, just generally awesome. Would love to hear from you, Leah, on Levels and your work with us to date.
Yeah, thanks so much, Josh. And I'm honored to be here and say hi. It's funny because as soon as I think I heard about Levels on Twitter or something like that, I just had to try it out. It was really exciting to me. And, I follow tech Twitter. I've been a developer for 15 years now, I think is how long ago I graduated college. So quite a while working in San Francisco in the tech industry. I've founded 3 different companies. I've joined various companies, including like Dropbox, and currently working at Twitter on Twitter Spaces. So a lot, I think I've had a lot of fun working in tech, but as I sort of get older, I care more about like the impact that tech can have on people's lives. So what was really exciting about Levels to me was that I have somewhat of a personal connection with the mission, which is that both my parents are type 2 diabetics. My grandfather is diabetic as well, my only living grandparent. And then my husband's father is diabetic. So, when I heard, hey, there might be something you can do earlier on, even if it's like this very slim chance that you can stop this from also being your future, I was definitely interested, right? So, it's still very early days in this sort of technology using glucose meters for, what we consider sort of normal, healthy folks. But I really like the potential and where it could go. Like, I don't think we need to get to the point where our metabolic health is just so shot and so ruined that, we're taking drugs every day and things like that. So anyways, that's I can get down in the weeds about product and get excited about tech, but I think it's always helpful to sort of take a step back and think about why we do this and sort of like the quality of life improvements that can come from technology. So not just the tech itself, but like what can we do with that? So that's why I'm excited about Levels. I've been wearing the glucose meter now for almost a year. I think it's about a year consistently, which is crazy because I think the first month or whatever you learn so much, and then for me it's just been sort of like a sort of reminder to keep healthy habits. I bet a bunch of those like logs of food are my logs too. When you do 3 meals a day for a year, they really add up. So that's exciting to see that people are excited about it and still using it, and that Levels is continuing to grow and reach more people. Do you have any like questions for me? Anything I could talk about? It's funny that you include the painted lady. Yeah, my hobbies are also kind of weird. Buying like really cool houses. So I bought one of the painted ladies on Alamo Square, and it's been like a blast to sort of like work on it. And the whole city of San Francisco is kind of like following along, which is really fun.
For those that don't know, that this giant Victorian behind Leah in this picture is the pink painted lady. It's a really old, there's kind of a row of Victorians there. And it's an amazing house that I think you're doing a full renovation on this from like top to bottom.
Yeah, it's 130 years old. So it needs work. So hopefully we'll start. It's been just in planning so far, but hopefully going to break ground in the next couple months on actually first restoring the foundation and then sort of fixing everything up. But you can follow along. It's on Instagram if you're interested in keeping up on that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Not just technology insights, also home renovation insights. If anyone needs it, Leah is very responsive and an awesome part of the network. So I don't think we have any specifics beyond that. It's just great to hear your perspective and the personal angle of why you wanted to get involved. And this metabolic syndrome has touched so many people and some more than others. So it's pretty amazing to hear how extensive it is in your family. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. So thanks for taking the time to come and hang out with us.
Yeah, and it's been a super fun experience talking with them as well. I think I got my dad into wearing a continuous glucose monitor. So it's been fun. So thanks so much, Josh.
Awesome. Thank you, Leah. That jumping ahead to welcome Jackie to the team. Jackie's been getting up and running this week. She'll be working as a growth generalist, and I'm gonna give it to you to take it from here. Welcome to, I think you were probably on a few of these forums or at least watching, but it's awesome to have you on the first one live.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, I've been watching them, but my first time actually joining. It's so nice to be here. I'm really, really excited to just be here, be a part of this team with all of you and meet all of you. I'm Jackie. I'm currently in Manhattan, where I spent the last couple years. I just got back to Manhattan. I spent a lot of the summer in New Jersey at my parents' house in Point Pleasant, New Jersey, which is a beach town I know Josh knows. I spent most of the summer there with them and their puppy pictured there. And just a little bit of background about me. I studied business at the University of Michigan, focused in marketing. From there, I went to PepsiCo, and I've held various brand marketing roles there, from sports marketing, where I primarily worked on PepsiCo's NBA partnership, to packaging innovation, to brand communications. And I had awesome experiences at PepsiCo, working with great people, building big brands. But ultimately I'm here because I was really feeling a need to align what I'm doing day to day with my core beliefs and values, which are largely focused on health and wellness. So when I learned what you all are doing here at Levels, I was so fascinated. I've learned a lot about metabolic health and all the implications associated with glucose response and insulin resistance over the past several months. I've been blown away by everything I've learned. So I really look forward to educating the world on these patterns and contributing to others having some of the revelations that I've had about my own health data. Just looking forward to seeing more people have those realizations and kind of also be blown away by their own health data. And I'm also, I've been seeing all the new developments in the app over the past several weeks, and I'm so excited to be a part of this team. You guys work so efficiently. I've been so impressed with the onboarding process, and you've all really inspired me already. So I'm really thrilled to be a part of this, and I'm excited to learn from all of you.
Love it. Great having you as part of the team. Very fun fact there, by the way. You've been part of marketing campaigns since the early days, it seems. So
yeah, we started very early on product packaging.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Jackie. And again, to the whole team, as she's getting ramped up, please make yourselves available to get to know each other on a call, or, make yourself available to help her with anything that the onboarding guide does not provide. And with that, we'll jump ahead and welcome Lauren Kelly Chu, our second full-time member joining this week. Super stoked to have you as part of the team, Lauren. We've been in touch for a few months now, and it's amazing that you're already up and running as well. So I'm going to leave it to you.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited to be here. I'm up and running, but playing catch up. So I'm running as fast as possible. I think my story coming to Levels mirrors a lot of people's here, at least aspects of it, where I have a lot of diabetes in my family. I myself was diagnosed as pre-diabetic actually during medical school, despite the fact that I thought I was living this very optimal, healthy life. And what I realized at that moment was it was so strange kind of training to be a clinician and also finding out that I wasn't managing my own health well, and there really weren't tools to do that. And that started really like years and years of experimentation, but without really knowing if it was working or not. And so I've been on the wait list for Levels for quite a while. And it was really exciting when we started having conversations and I started trying the product. And as a result of that, I switched to keto, which has been quite an adventure. I think many people here are keto as well. So I'll probably be looking for some tips on how to make it work. I'm really excited about healthcare in general. I think I've spent my career coming at it from different angles in terms of clinical training. I actually started off as a private equity investor. So you'll probably find a lot of my approach to things is from an investment perspective, because that left a big impression on me when I was originally building my kind of analytic toolkit. And then co-founded a digital therapeutic startup, was actually in the same batch, I believe, in YC as Sam, though we did not know each other during that time. And most recently was at Verily working on all kinds of strategy, biz ops and product strategy stuff for med devices, digital biomarkers, and all kinds of things. But super excited to just get back to building things and being really close to the action. What else is on here? Dance is really important in my life. And actually it really impacts the way that I work too. I think most of dance is about taking risk and trying to find alignment in terms of who you are and how you show that in your work. So I think that there's a lot of, for me, it's really integrated into just living and working. And yeah, I grew up in Pittsburgh. So I was Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, in his neighborhood, and we were neighbors, pseudo neighbors, within a mile of each other. But I made an appearance on his show once.
Whoa, even bigger fun fact, just dropped very casually. Well, again, really awesome to have you ramped up. There's so much to do on the clinical fronts that you'll be able to dive into, and very excited. It's going to be a huge unlock for us. And again, team, reach out to Lauren, set up some time, offer yourselves to help out with the onboarding process. And we are looking forward to getting to full speed. Thanks, Lauren. All right, quick culture and kudos slide. So first off, the prayer, we help you see how food affects your health. Can't overstate it enough. That one-liner is key. This week, we had a nice green screen episode here with Haney and Scott in front of this picture perfect background that looks impossible to be real. This is why you go to the Pacific Northwest, I think. And beyond that, happy 1 year to Braden. It's crazy. It's been a year. Braden's just been taking on more and more responsibilities on the RI front and leading a lot of community efforts. And this has been a really amazing addition to the team. So thanks, Braden, for all your work over the past year. Couple other quick notes. Ben won his soccer league championships this week, which is that's a really big moment. Everyone needs to give him a quick round of applause. Great work, Ben. Hopefully you're repping the Levels shirt and or patch while out there winning. Tom, great example of closing the loop. So this was on the Nutritionist Marketplace. We reached out to our investors and network generally, and got a ton of input on how to put together a platform like the Nutritionist Marketplace, and taking the time to go back and close loops with people like Jeff, who spent a lot of his time and is definitely a thought leader in this space, is really important, and it goes a long way. So this is a great example here. And then another semi-loop closure, but generally just making it easier for our network to add to our efforts. This is a good example from Casey. Just sending David Sinclair everything he would need to contribute to kind of the PR effort of announcing his addition to the advisorship. So just kind of making it very straightforward, sending him the assets he would need, and giving him basically everything to reshare, which he did. And it was really successful. So these are the kind of simple elements that we can introduce to the way we work, closing loops and making it easy on other people. And so appreciate both of you for doing those things and leading the way. All right. Over to Scott and or David.
Yeah. All right. So we had a bit of shuffling the deck this week. I just wanted to pause and talk about it. I think at the outset, I would just say, I don't take these lightly. I mean, I think that we had very willing and very happy to roll with the punches people in Canal. Totally understanding why, and just saying, yeah, like whatever I can do to sort of help out. But I just want to make clear, like we should see this as something that we try to minimize at least. So, so definitely some good stuff, I think, culturally around reshuffling priorities. But ideally, like we can sort of have, a good sense of what we're working on and why as we go forward. So I just wanted to pause, I guess, to say, I really appreciate Kunal having a good attitude about this. And that when we do this, we should be deliberate. So I think that the reason I took a little bit of time to write a big post about sort of reshuffling the priorities is that we don't want to get the sense that things are sort of fluid in terms of priorities. We choose the things that we work on because we don't have much time. We got to be very clear and decisive about the things that we work on. So I thought it was sort of apt to just show this as a strike through, just to say, hey, look, like we're making a very deliberate change because we're able to strike through one of these priorities. We're able to add another one in. And then I think going forward on this slide, what I do want to call out is that we're going to have, I think, the vast majority of our resources working on the priorities, obviously, but we do have some exceptions that are okay for things that we do need to get done. So for example, Shinla's working on data infrastructure and privacy stuff right now, but it's kind of capped at a couple weeks. So just being able to indicate a little bit of timeline to go along with this. And then any unplanned work. So for the last couple of weeks, Justin and Steph have been doing a great job taking a bit of a detour to sort of make sure that we are able to stick the landing on a feature that we launched, but didn't quite get to where we felt like it was complete for our membership. So hopefully moving forward, happy to hear feedback on this slide, but I just thought it would be a good way for us to talk about sort of the exceptions to our priorities right now and any unplanned work that has popped up. So again, Kunal couldn't have asked for a better sort of roll with the changes. Super excited, like within 5 minutes was like, cool, let's get started on some guided journey stuff. Things that we had in the hopper, had a great attitude from a culture standpoint, couldn't have asked for a better transition. And so hopefully just the clarity here will be good for us going forward and where we're going to be spending the bulk of our time. So
let's see. Jam, are we doing I think he's on the call. Are we doing okay, read only mode? Yep, we are. Here we go.
Blood work was a light week. Murillo inked an agreement to be married. Congratulations, Murillo. but as a result, we did not move forward by very much on the engineering side. And the blog for the launch of this is getting finished up now and looking really terrific. Now, on membership. So I'm going to take a couple minutes on this one, so bear with me. We launched phase 1 this week, and that essentially does two things. It, first of all, introduces the idea of membership, that you're paying part of the $3.99 is going to join levels, why you want to do that and what it means. And the other half is a prompt to subscribe to CGMs right off the bat. So as you know, in the old world, the day before yesterday, checkout was essentially a $3.99 thing. It was for the program, which was sort of vague in what you got. You got the CGMs, you got the app. Then in week 3 or 4, you got a prompt to subscribe if you're interested in getting CGMs in an ongoing way. So what this change was is it essentially augmented checkout with a couple of new screens, one about becoming a member and one about CGM. So I actually want to talk about those two things separately because they're both important. But at a high level, the transition so far is going pretty well. So looking at subscription at first order, on the right is a cohort analysis, which is basically looking at people who went through the program month by month and seeing how they progress. And so the percents, and I know it's probably very small, but the percents represent how many of the group decided to continue and get another CGM and another CGM in the month after that and after that. Earlier this year, as you know, we started offering subscriptions in ways other than monthly. So you could do it bi-monthly or every 3rd month. That's baked into this. But basically, if you have an order in a subsequent month, it would show up on this. A really cool thing is that in prompting people at the very beginning of their journey to subscribe, we saw far more people opting to get a delivery of CGMs on an ongoing basis, 35% versus 22 or so in the old world. I think some of that is because of awareness. Anecdotally, I often have heard people say like, oh, the 28-day program was great. I wish I can continue. You can. Now everyone will know that you can. The breakdown of those subscriptions skews a little bit away from monthly, which makes sense. Again, these are probably mostly people that have not used CGM before, so it's kind of amazing that a third of them are down to do it more than once. And then, of course, the other change was that we now prompt you with this whole new screen. We basically cut the $3.99 in half. Fun fact, it's actually $3.98 now, to a $1.99 membership, and then the CGM screen that we just talked about after that. So the conversion rate is something that we look at. And what I mean by conversion rate is the percentage of people who start checkout, and finish it. So in the old world, that would range between 14% and 17 or so. I think you can see the mouse moving here, but if not, I'll move myself over it. I'm talking about these numbers here, right there. That's the conversion rate in the week leading up to this last month and the last few months. And even though we only have one full day of data, that's October 13th UTC, which is not enough to really do this. And as I say that, I actually mean this was for October 14th, which was our first full day. Pardon me, I'm doing this in one take to be authentic. But the conversion rate basically held up, which is really, really good news. We were prepared for a dip and we're willing to tolerate a dip to make the transition because we think it's important, but there wasn't really a dip. It was kind of flat. And a more surgical way to look at that is not the conversion rate of the entire funnel, but actually the conversion rate of the change. So in the old way, people, let me see if I can back up to a different slide. I cannot. Okay, well, that's a silly feature. But in the old way, you'd enter your shipping address. The next thing you'd see is the price, and then you'd hit go. And the conversion rate on that are these bottom 4 numbers here. And the top one is the conversion rate of that part of the flow, even with those 2 extra screens. So friction at this point in the funnel and breaking down more clearly what $3.99 gets you has been a positive thing. Which is really good news. It kind of makes sense. So in summary, this worked out. And the next phase is going to be a whole bunch of things like making it beautiful, putting some stuff in the app around renewal and status, some backfilling of old data into the new system, and all sorts of great things. Thank you, Jeremy Shinlu, for running engineering on phase 1. More to come on this. Very, very exciting, and I'm glad to get it off the ground.
Amazing update for several reasons, not the least of which is the epic use of green screen and studio lighting. But yeah, that's awesome. Those numbers are really huge. Thank you, JM.
I think Tom's good on this one.
Yes, I'm here.
Cool.
Okay, so 2 quick slides on Nutritionist Marketplace. As a reminder, we launched this last Thursday, so we're about a week in to around 250 members and 3 nutritionists on the supply side. So far, we've seen 10 actual connections, so people that have sent emails saying, I want to work with you, to one of the nutritionists. So question now is how many of them actually sign up and pay money to work with them? which we'll be tracking kind of in a manual fashion. And then also if we continue to see a drip over time, long tail of people who are interested. So excited to kind of see what happens in the coming weeks. And then next week, I'm going to start collecting some feedback, just early feedback from nutritionists, and begin to scope what phase 2 looks like, which at the very least is just going to be rolling out kind of the existing marketplace to the rest of our members. Next slide. Okay, so this is numbers from post-hog, and there are really like 5 steps in the funnel that we're measuring right now, which you can see here. So initially, the card is surfaced on your homepage. So that's the denominator for this funnel. So not everyone has seen it. So 207 of the 250, but again, for this funnel right here, that's going to be the denominator 100%. And then 45% are clicking on that and seeing the next page, the overview of what this feature is. And then 61 or 30% are making it to an individual nutritionist profile page to learn more about what a nutritionist is offering. And then 6% are clicking connect, like I want to connect and actually talk to this nutritionist. And again, 5% or a total of 10 are getting kicked out of the app where an email introduction is occurring between the nutritionist and the member. So again, yeah, that's it for now, but we'll keep everyone posted with more thorough updates in the coming weeks.
Can you give us a sense of timing just for when this will be released to the entire base?
Yeah, I think probably within a few weeks is my best guess. I'm going to start thinking about it a bit more next week, but I don't see why, at the very least, we don't just roll this out to the rest of our base as it kind of currently stands.
Okay.
Awesome. Great update. And I love the Scrappy connection, the email connect to the nutritionist. It's a great way to launch.
Okay, table stakes design, still TBD on what the new deadline is, and still not really actively working on it because we were focusing on the dashboard stuff, but there's stuff that kind of blends between the two. So Steph did a bunch of stuff with cards, like the new metabolic scorecard, UI. We've got a anomaly detection, like in the same kind of look as the other cards now. Sleep card UI is consistent with that, and across both screens that have it. And we also added on the entry icons when they're outside of a zone, the little heart, so that you can actually see, sorry, there's a cat. You can actually see if something is strenuous when it's like in the logging and you're looking up items individually there. Next slide. And then for all these dashboard changes to make it kind of better and more as it was kind of intended to go out to members. Last week talked about all the updates to the charts and all that. This week, like I already said, metabolic scorecard UI updates. We paired together to add the average glucose on the card and the time above range as well. What else is new here? There's a new day report card on the home, or on the home tab there, kind of giving you a look at your glucose line for the previous day and your score, and you can click into that and open up the day review screen. We added 110 as an actual label on the max glucose line, so that's a bit more clear, and also 150 as well, just to give a bit more context. And let's see. Oh yeah, we added the weekly report to the day review if it's a Monday at the very bottom, so you can see your weekly report. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to access it anymore on dashboard because dashboard is focused on today only. And then yeah, adding a new insights tab to my data so that we can see all of the insights that you've had fed to you over all these various days in the past, and you can look at them all at once and kind of see them all in one place. And then yeah, Steph's working on adding the plus to the tooltip, so you can add a log in place. And again, we still have to add the modal to choose your specific time window range you want. And we're going to add sleep icons to the chart to give a bit more framing of where your sleep was on that new chart. So yeah, lots of stuff. But yeah, you can check it out on 1.3.28, which we're going to push to members this morning sometime. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you for the update, Justin and Steph. Scott.
Yeah, sort of a quick non-update for guided journey. Not much progress. I am at the point where I have phasing laid out and reasoning why. So going to submit that for feedback because I shouldn't submit that to myself for feedback. So I'm going to circulate that. Just it's a big project, and so I just want to make sure we're all on the same page about what we're doing first and why. Other than that, once that phasing gets sort of approved, going to sort of go on these little mini excursions PM wise to sort of define the core looping. What does the day review look like? We got to get some sort of logic and back end sort of stuff figured out to surface things like which meal was the biggest contributor to your score, or are you generally struggling with afternoons? So these are some easy and some not so easy problems, but that's a current update.
Awesome. Alan.
Hey, okay. So next slide. I guess I don't need these intro slides, do I? So the focus areas for the last week or so, it's kind of a short week for me. I had Monday off, has been tagging, looking at real time, a little bit more around magic moments, and starting to engage an agency to look at the Levels brand a little bit. So next slide, I'll go into some detail. So structured food data, we have the beginnings of tagging taking place in our food logs. We have a ton of food logs. We want to add more structure to it, and we want to provide more value back to members or when they do provide us food logs. And so some of the interesting things we can do with structured data around food is, for example, looking at what's the typical glucose response to some of the ingredients in it. So that's what the first screen on the left there is. I'm scaling those little circle pack based on the typical glucose response amongst Levels members to those ingredients. It's surprising to me all the time how people still don't seem to understand how some things they thought were healthy actually do impact their glucose in a considerable way. Second slide is looking at potentially like an index page for some of those ingredients. So is there like a home for different types of ingredients? Like this is crackers as a tag, for example. And then we've got related tags at the bottom, some suggested swaps, some demographic comparisons there. So people like you, for example, or the average Levels member, or what happens when people pair this kind of ingredient with exercise. The second or the third screen looking at, there's not just food ingredient tags. We expect that there'll be tags around like contexts. It could be like Thanksgiving, or in this example, it's like McDonald's. I was searching through food logs. We have a healthy user base, but there's a lot of interesting food logs from places like In-N-Out and McDonald's and so on. And then looking at like time of day, like can we start to give people a bit of a better idea on when they're spiking through the course of the day? So that's food tags. Next slide.
I think Rob had a quick question here.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, Alan, thank you. That's very interesting, and I want to get a little more granular. Are they telling you just general categories like crackers, or are they giving you information like, oh, Mary's Gone crackers or wheat thins, or specific ones? Because ultimately there may be specific foodstuffs that will do better for them than others, and they need to know that.
Yeah.
How much information are we actually getting from these people?
Yeah, so it's a mix. Sometimes one trend I've noticed is that the healthier the ingredient, the more detail people tend to provide. So if you're having like keto bread, most people tend to indicate that. We won't be getting granular detail like a barcode that aligns it to a very specific ingredient, although this is user-generated content, so we may potentially go down that route in the future. But for now, it's just text. It's free-form text that people are entering in. So there will be some, it could be a very wide distribution of glucose responses on some of these.
Because ultimately we can pair this information with the database SKUs in a supermarket and actually be able to generate meals recipes with specific ingredients that will ultimately be metabolically healthy. And we're doing that with another company I'm working with called Perfect. I've actually suggested these are two companies that need to know each other, and if that information is being gathered, it would be really easy to pair this up.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I think we are always in this tension of more data, more detail allows us to potentially provide more value to you, but the friction costs tend to prevent a lot of people from doing it for a consistent period of time. So this is like an interesting challenge that we're going to continue to tackle, and maybe there's even partnerships that we pursue. Companies like MyFitnessPal have very detailed data, and perhaps we can work with them on sort of macros collection and specific ingredient collection.
Yeah, definitely something I think we've been thinking about and we'll continue to explore for sure. We want to get to the granularity balance that gives us high adherence and high specificity.
Next slide. So yeah, real time, spending a lot of time looking at what are the implications of real-time experience right now. I think one of the primary ones, and maybe some of you all are feeling this as well, is that there doesn't appear to be really like a strong hero on the dashboard, sort of guiding the experience, giving you feedback on what to do next, or specifically like how different choices have impacted you. We've talked about using the metabolic score in more of a sort of hero sort of presentation like you see there. There's some big downsides right now to the metabolic score, and so we're going to continue to iterate on that. But as we start moving towards more real-time data, it starts opening up some new opportunities for us. It could be that we're able to provide more in-the-moment guidance. We're able to integrate with things like, you saw the partnership today with Garmin, or yesterday with Garmin. Can we provide more directed guidance in the moment during a strenuous activity, for example? On the far right there, we've got an example of, we see that your glucose is rising in real time. Can we give you a prompt and a little timer to go for like a 15-minute walk and say like, hey, like here, just go for a brief walk and we'll reduce your glucose. It'll potentially reduce your glucose over the next little period of time. So there's all kinds of exploratory stuff that we can get into here. I'm really excited about it. And so, yeah, that's probably not going to be for a little while, but something we need to get ahead of pretty soon. Next slide. So magic moments. Yeah, this one, I'm particularly keen to start providing like sort of slightly more directed, potentially more assertive guidance in the moment when we see something happening. We hear a lot about people getting concerned about low glucose alerts. That's one that's come up in the past before. So can we, instead of just a card, which is sort of chronologically ordered, can we take over the screen? Maybe alcohol, for example, like if you have a glass of wine, or we know that your glucose is going to potentially drop over the next little period of time, we should be able to tell you that in the moment and not give you the opportunity to kind of just ignore it in a card, for example. Again, I talked about spikes, and then I think there's also some opportunities with some of these magic moments to kind of reward people and let them know like, hey, you're doing a great job, you're logging food. Take just a little bit more mind share during the day as they're interacting with levels. Next slide. So final one. So you might have noticed that these are some examples of the current presentation of the app. It's getting a bit higher contrast. We've upped the greens a little bit to be a little bit punchier, a little more of a primary. It's pretty bold, a lot of sans serif fonts. I think it's on a trajectory to be sort of a natural evolution of the where we started. However, next slide. We are starting to look at the future. We're starting to look a little bit further out, and I think there's kind of only so far that the product and the brand can diverge before we get to a place where it starts to feel really janky. And so, right when we're at the premise or the outset of exploring new spaces, this is probably where we want to figure out how to sort of harmonize the design, the brand, the visual language, and also address some gaps that have come up over the course of the last 6 months or so that we've noticed. So next slide. And so we're starting to engage with the working TW. I just call them TWA. They define the initial brand for levels. They did an amazing job. And we're going to start talking to them about, a bit of a refresh, harmonizing the product and the brand a little bit. There are some rough edges right now. And I think also some of the imagery, we've been using this image for quite a while now. We probably want to give it a bit of an update. It's a little bit somber. Some of the iconography that was initially defined, it's better suited for print rather than an app. And in these colors, I know I talk about color a lot. It's so annoying, but the colors just don't work on in an app context. They fail all the accessibility tests. So what we want to do is find some ways to evolve that and give it a bit of a punch. So we're going to start engaging with them. We're looking forward to doing that. I think that's going to have some really interesting outcomes for us. They're going to do some motion, some illustration work for us, and kind of backfill a little bit of the gap for visual design for us at the moment. So that's it for that. That's it for design.
Awesome. Great update, Alan. The working assembly like kind of knocked it out of the park initially, and we've been riding that initial wave of brand design for 2 years now. So it's amazing that we're only now having to revisit this. All right, quick hiring team update. We broke out the visual update here by role. Good call, Scott, on doing so. This should give some more granularity into each of the roles and the progress we're making. Still open for those who are watching this. Please recommend great people. They can go to levels.link/careers. And then Taylor Sittler and Jeff, I'm not going to be able to pronounce his last name. I always screw it up, are both TBD on start dates. So team continues to grow.
It's Bizdovka.
Bizdovka. I revert every time I pronounce it. All right, Chris.
Quick update on member experience. On the member insights fronts, working with Mike D on, we've got a draft of the survey for the targeting people who've paid, but we don't see any glucose data from them, which has come up in earlier Friday forums. So we're targeting to launch this out to a group of users probably by the end of next week to start getting some feedback around some of the reasons behind, and can we learn more about, are they getting stuck, are they forgetting, or just more insights in terms of that cohort. On the support side, as Josh mentioned, on the support specialist, we made an offer this morning. So super excited about that. The talent pool is really strong. We continue to interview more people because this is a role that we might just keep open for a while as we continue to grow and get that strong pipeline. So as we grow, we want to make sure we've got people kind of ready and queued up that have kind of gone through the system. So I've been spending a lot of time on this, but I really been enjoying the conversations, different varieties, and lots of people excited about what we're trying to do. Next, leaning into asynchronous support. We talk at Levels a lot about being asynchronous in terms of how we work. And when people join us, that's kind of what they buy into. But as members, that is not necessarily part of the value proposition. Like they may think of like, oh, I always expect to have a phone number or live chat. So this is an area that we're going to be doing more experimenting of, can we actually still have the efficiencies of an asynchronous model to our members and provide a great experience. So one of the challenges or one of the experiments we've been doing is taking our foot off the gas at how quickly we respond to customers' emails. We've been touting things of 89% of our email responses are respond to within an hour, which drives a lot of our high CSAT. But we actually had the team like slow down a little bit. So in the last 7 days, it's actually now dropped to 59% and had zero negative impact on CSAT. And in fact, CSAT's gone up. Now, why this matters for us going forward, the chart on the right talks about staffing models as we grow in asynchronous channels and how quickly you respond, and synchronous channels such as phone and live chat. So moving from a async model as we are today to synchronous models of having someone there to pick up a live chat or a phone can easily triple the size of the team we need to support our members. So we want to make sure we're using this time to experiment around what is that right response time? Is it an hour? Is it 2 hours? Is it 4 hours? And then we staff towards that to provide a great experience. But it has major implications in terms of the type of the people we are bringing on, the type of talent, and really and staffing. So a lot of work on the team on that front. And then lastly, a call out on the TruePill side. They are now prioritizing our overnight orders, so they're processed first. Why this matters is today they had been processing first in, first out. And when we have, let's say, a VIP or someone that we want to get the product to overnight, we want to make sure those are addressed quickly. So those automatically now show up at the top of their queues. So that should be being processed first. So it's not going to help our overall service level, but it's going to help the service level of overnight orders. And that's all from member experience.
Awesome update. Yeah, those insights are so huge. It's counterintuitive, but massive for operational and logistics overhead. So thank you for running those experiments. Ben.
Okay, growth. Cleaned up the slide. We don't refer to cash because cash and recognized revenue are very similar based on our fulfillment now. So 194 recognized revenue for the week, quite a strong week. For the month, we're already at 423, so trending well, being halfway through the month. Cash, we're at 8.6, and if you can see, that's up from last week. And then our debt is down by $1 million. So we did a $1 million draw. And the reason being is that we want to maintain our runway based on our cash position. We want to maintain that runway at a healthy level and then keep going in and out of our debt as needed. So we have 42 months of runway. If anyone has questions about the debt line or the draw process, pop me a note after and happy to chat about it. Next slide, please. So growth pipeline conversions, 100K has come from double opt and newsletter already. So the reason this is important to highlight is on average, 25% of our revenue every month is driven by these internal initiatives. So it's nice to know that newsletter is a test that Haney's been running as far as putting CTAs in some of the newsletters. And then double opt is the wait list conversion that we offer people who go deep down the process. So we know that is a tap that we can turn on and off pretty easily as far as the pipeline goes. Next slide, please. We'll hammer through growth theme. So attention and intention. We'll go through 3 platforms very quickly: YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. So what is YouTube? It is actually, it's not a video platform. It is the second largest search engine in the world with 3 billion queries every month. Google for scale gets about 100 billion search queries. So search is the main function. If you want to build a roof truss, that's where you go. If you want to fix your garden hose, that is where you go. TikTok is where you discover things. And you can see that piece of content below is one of Tom's friends, and it is her only post, and it happens to be her installing a CGM. So we got 2.5 million eyeballs or impressions on that little L Levels logo, which is very cool. Instagram, it's all about curation. It's exactly what you do. You opt in to have content served up to you, and that's all you'll ever see. So why does this actually matter? Well, referring to Metabolic Book Club, that piece of content that was put out has about 1,000 hours of watch time, and we have a very limited audience there. But 25% or just over 25% of the views or the watch time has come from organic search, and they happen to be searching for Rob's name. They search Robert Lustig, and that is a search result that they dive into. So the important thing to know is that as we spend more time and diligence on these platforms over the next 3 to 6 months, that we know what we're putting out and why we're putting it out on certain platforms. Next slide, please. So to wrap on this, YouTube in November of 20, about a year ago, we had a YouTube page and we had 30 subs. And between November and May, we had 20 hours of watch time. Around May, we decided to start curating some of the UGC and just making them into playlists and then updating it so that it had a better brand presence. In August, we started uploading more videos like Metabolic Book Club and some of our Friday forums. The watch time is now over 1,000 hours. So it's gone up exponentially just by putting a little bit of attention to the platform. You can see that little picture beside the aggregated playlist are comments, most of them on Rob's video, many of them on Sarah and Casey's video, and some of the Friday forums. So people engage in long form conversation. And then one of the other things we're doing is thumbnail updates. So you can see Rodney is the hero image of the Friday forum that we're testing out to see how thumbnails perform on different videos. So the takeaways are attention and intention. The more focus we put on the platform, the more attention we'll get. And search is driven entirely by intention. So we have to be quite diligent about the content that we choose to put out. And that is growth for the week.
Great update as always. Thanks, Ben. Tom.
All right, one quick slide from me. The highlights this week mostly covered on that first slide with Josh. So the theme this week is generosity, and I'm highlighting this because I think it's really a very unique part of our culture that I'm not actually sure is memorialized anywhere in our documentation, but it's definitely not something I've ever experienced at other companies. And essentially what it is it's us going out of our way to spend time helping others in our network and in kind of the startup ecosystem broadly. And while this does likely pay dividends back to us in the end, I don't think that's why we do it. I think we do it because it's part of our cultural values and kind of our core DNA. And to be clear, this is not me promoting my own virtues. From my perspective, a lot of this comes from Sam and probably all of the founding team. But anyway, there's a document here on the left that we created this week, and it's called How Levels Can Help You, and it essentially synthesizes how we might be able to help others in our network. So for example, we'll probably send this to Andreessen and tell them, you guys have helped us a lot. Here's how we can help your portfolio companies if anyone, wants to learn from us or take us up on this. So it's a cool part of our culture. And on the right there, you'll see my inbox. I think I got 70 forwardable emails this week alone from people who want to get introduced to people that I or we know. So we'll make sure that this is sustainable for me going forward, but it's something to call out that I think is really unique about Levels.
Yeah, great summary. Thanks, Tom. It is cool that that's part of the cultural values that emerge as a property of the team. Haney.
Yeah, and content, 2 pieces up this week and a third that's about to go up. So we finally took Q&A that an Instagram live actually that Casey did with Gabe some months ago. And as part of our sort of, multi-channel strategy of taking pieces of content and turning them into other things, we just went back and looked at that transcript and were able to pull out a really nice sort of compact 6 lessons from that interview with Gabe, which I think was nice to put up and kind of recirculate that. One of our classic foods we love this week, Brazil nuts, all about your selenium. And then the piece on the right here, the Levels Dietary Philosophy, this is not up yet. It's saved in a draft. It's probably going to post today, but want to call attention to this because I think it's going to be a really useful resource for folks. This really came out of, I think, Sam and others saying, people ask us all the time, should I be keto or should I be vegan? Are blueberries good or bad? And we wanted to have a nice, succinct piece that addresses how we think about those questions and how we think about nutrition. And so tons of work by Casey and lots of useful input from Sam to get this to where it is. There's a much sort of longer version that I think we're going to use in other ways, but this was really a succinct 10-point document about how we think about food and our approach. So I think this is going to be really good just to share with folks and to sort of let everybody in our network know how we think about this stuff. On the far right, another Everyone on Content piece this week from Jeremy, which was really great about why engineers should look for engineering-led companies. This is sort of part of the effort to make sure we're creating content that helps speak to engineering candidates and people who might be interested in us and kind of understand more about our company. On the bottom, the stat, I just want to call out, I had to pull this number for something I was putting together and it just sort of struck me because I feel like this is a number I should have on the tip of my tongue and I didn't, but we average now about 250,000 unique page views a month. And I don't know if that's good or bad in the overall universe, but it seems high to me. and I'm happy that that's a number we could put out there. Finally, down in the corner, a couple new things. We're launching a new newsletter next week that's going to be sort of a Substack style note from Casey each week of kind of really her point of view and, kind of leveraging a personal connection approach to content. And then I did a couple of really fun Q&As this week with Austin, who's the metabolism mentor, and with Mona Sharma. Those will come out soon. One more slide quickly. Just wanted to call attention to Everyone on Content. It occurs to me that, last time we talked about this, a lot of folks who are now on the team weren't here. So people probably hear me reference this every week and don't know what it is. Essentially, Everyone on Content is just our effort to make sure we're capturing the expertise, learnings, experience of all these amazing people on our team and putting them into usable articles and getting them out in the world. So that can be publishing on our Medium site, which is where we publish a lot of stuff, but also getting them in other spaces. So we have Sam's piece that went out on First Round Review. Tom's piece about how to get podcasts is about to publish on First Round Review. JTPR engages with us in helping to place some of these as well. And the key thing to know here is we've got a good process in place now. A really good writer who sort of does this kind of content has been working with us. And so the lift is really pretty low for engaging with this. And Jeremy and others who've been through this can kind of speak to it. You basically do an interview with her. She's good at pulling out topics that are interesting, getting the information out of you and then writing them up. If you're somebody who likes to write, she can also help you just do an outline or get your thinking in order. So we're kind of piecemeal going through, having her just reach out to a few folks at a time to do these interviews. But if anybody has topics they think would make interesting articles, things they want to know, or just ideas of, other people within the company you want to hear from, if you, especially as folks are onboarding and you have an interesting conversation with somebody and think, man, I'd love to hear what Alan thinks about this. Please surface all those ideas to us. This has become a really fun channel of content and I'm excited about, keeping it going and publishing more. That's it for us.
Yeah, awesome program. And excited to, I love reading these as they come out. So excited to, as the team grows, continue to learn from each of you. Zach, so we're running up on time. I know anyone that does have to jump at the hour, please feel free. We will take the cafe to do our individual contributions though, because it's an important part of the week. Over to Zach.
Hey guys, I'll just take a minute here. So I wanted to just quickly describe the attorney-client privilege to everyone and just to point you to a Notion document I put together about it. Most of you have probably already heard of the attorney-client privilege before. Basically, this rule exists to ensure that clients are able to feel 100% confident that they can be honest with their attorneys whenever they're seeking or receiving legal advice. So practically speaking, the rule is this: all confidential communications between levels or levels employee and levels lawyers for the purpose of seeking or receiving legal advice are protected from forced disclosure during legal proceedings. So if something happens, no one can access those attorney-client privilege protected conversations and communications. So just two quick critical points here. First, just because I or one of our outside counsel might be included on an email or thread, that doesn't mean that it's actually a protected communication. The privilege only protects communications involving seeking or receiving legal advice. So somebody needs to be asking for legal advice, or I need to be providing it for it to actually qualify for the privilege. And second, the communication has to be confidential from the start and remain that way. So for example, conversations in a crowded food court are not privileged. Email chains that start out maybe just between you and me, but where we loop in a third party, that's not going to be privileged. And even like legal advice given to the entire company, while we're still small, there are some circumstances where that can be privileged, but overall, we shouldn't think of that as privileged, because if it's to the whole company, it's hard to say that was a confidential communication. That's pretty much it. Please take a few minutes next week to just read through the memo. It provides some good details and some do's and don'ts. And feel free to reach out to me if you have any specific questions. That's it.
Thank you, Zach. Yeah, it was a highly informative memo, and these things are important as we now have inside counsel on the team. We interface with a lot of outside counsel. We're in a heavily regulated industry. We're a very transparent, open, honest company, and so this is not intended to create an aura of confidentiality. It's just so that everyone understands the role that attorney-client privilege serves and how it has to be sort of implemented. And so I appreciate Zach for making that quite clear. And if anyone has questions, again, please reach out to him or anyone else on the team. Okay, we're at the 1 hour. So those that have to jump, like Scott, let's see. Scott is super pumped
to know
about
it's gonna be
Chris.
first.
You're first, so jump in.
Cool. All right. Work-wise, it's really nice to watch Chris every week. I think he's just doing really well, adding some rigor and some data to the way that we do support and fulfillment. And I think these things are great. Like, we don't need to be killing ourselves to do a 1 hour time. If 2 hours is good enough, I think that's a great insight, and we can bring data to help that out. We are going on vacation to the mountains with the family for the first time since the baby was born. So TBD on how it's going to go, but yeah.
Enjoy. Have a great trip to the mountains. I'm jealous. How's not on? Helena.
Yeah, I'm also really excited about the team growth. I think, when I joined, I didn't imagine that we'd have as many people as we do now 2 months later even. So this is super exciting. And then on a personal note, I think Steph and I are going to probably spend the whole weekend at the beach again, which will be so nice.
I love it. The co-working situation is hilarious. It's so great.
She's outside right now.
Respecting each other's mic space. I understand. Ben.
Yeah, stoked to have Jackie and Lauren join the team. Really pumped when Chris put out that model, the async versus sync support analysis, that Loom. After watching that, I was like, man, that's so good. And it was just cool to see the rigor. So +1 on that. On the personal front, it was pretty exciting to get win all 3 of the league trophies. That was a pretty meaningful thing. So that's only the second time our team's ever got all 3 of them. So pumped on that.
It's not even the first time. Jeez, Ben. Tom.
Yeah, so excited about team growth. Thrilled that Jackie is finally on board this week. She's really going to help level up all things growth and partnerships. And we're just so excited that she's joined, and Lauren as well. Looking forward to chatting with you, Lauren. I guess I'll give a shout out to the Good Morning America, because that deserves some attention. That was really cool. I had a bunch of people text me about it and very surreal. And then personally, just visiting family this week, been with my parents and hanging out with my niece and nephew tomorrow.
Nice. Enjoy. Mercy.
Professionally, the design stuff was amazing. Like, excellent job, Alan. I'm really excited to see all that. And then personally, I will be living in Philly for the next month, rented an Airbnb. So I'll be there till mid-November. So I'm leaving later today. I'm really excited about that.
Welcome to the party. Alan.
I love Andrew's enthusiasm there too. I'm kind of feeling the momentum too. Seeing some of the structured data around food and just playing with the food data yesterday was like really revealing, seeing what people are logging and using that to look for patterns to inform the design. So that's for me like very exciting professionally. And personally, it's getting close to Halloween here, starting to transition like seasonally. So we're gonna, go pumpkin patch visiting this weekend and looking forward to that. So
can't believe it's here. Full blown fall. Lori.
Gosh, I've missed the last few weeks, and this was such a pleasure. The new teammates, the updates were amazing. I honestly can't call one thing. I did love the cat. I mean, it was a little more amusing today. It was fun. I don't know. I'm so glad to be part of this journey with you guys. Every one of you. Look at your little faces, all smiling.
Oh, thanks, Lori.
I'm meeting with some girlfriends tomorrow. We have a yearly reunion. These are friends I've known from elementary school. So it's very exciting every week. It feels like it's every week. Year every week. Sorry, mine is gone. Thanks, guys. I'm going to go before I embarrass myself anymore.
Have fun with your friends.
Thanks, Josh.
Jesse.
Yeah, the designs are looking amazing. Excited for the team growth, and Chris's deck this week was awesome. It's been really cool to try the experimentation with slowing down response times. Personally, I'm going to see Dead & Co tonight, which is, if you don't know, the Grateful Dead plus John Mayer. So that's a big heartthrob for me. Really excited for that.
Have a blast. Haney.
Yeah, I have to just plus one. The Alan stuff just continues to blow me away every week. Not just the beautiful designs, but the insights and the thinking, and also plus one to Chris's work and support. I know how tough that department can be, and it's just cool to see that sort of rigor. Personally, I'm going to take the kid out on the mountain bike this week. We haven't been out in about 6 months, so we're going to try to get back into that now that cooler temperatures are here. So excited about that.
Muted. Yeah, Zach said he is excited about Jackie and Lauren joining and the awesome content we've been putting out. Continues to love being a dad, just moved into a new house, and finally getting a little stability. Thanks, Zach. Let's see, Tony.
Hey, everyone. Oh man, it's been an exciting 2 weeks for sure with the onboarding process and meeting so many of you. And I'm definitely excited to meeting more of you next week as well. And I'm really excited to kickstart getting started on the podcast next week, and obviously videos moving forward. So that's going to be exciting. Personally, the weather is looking very warm for October this weekend here in Jersey. So I'm very excited for a lot of long walks with my wife and my dog.
Very nice. Excited to have you taking over that podcast stuff, Tony. Lauren.
Yes, excited to be here and to meet all of you over the next few weeks. And this weekend, I am taking a break and catching my breath and just, relaxing.
Enjoy. Jackie.
I'm personally so excited to be here. It feels kind of surreal to be in one of these Friday Forum meetings after watching them on YouTube for so many weeks. Also, Alan, I'm like so excited about all those design updates. I mean, I personally geek out on how much like a change in color can change a whole experience in an app or in a design. So like seeing all these massive updates you and the team are making every week is pretty cool for me. And I'm also excited. I was pretty sick earlier this week. I saw a lot of people were sick this week. Seems like something's going around the world. So I'm feeling better today. So that's huge for me. So I'm excited to continue feeling better tomorrow and feel a little bit less stuffed up.
Nice. Feel better. Chris.
First off, big welcome to Lauren and Jackie. Super excited to have you on the team. Can't wait to meet you guys. On the first side of the levels front is a big call out to JM on multiple reasons. One, the launch of membership, and then his Loom video just brought so much joy to me. Like, I'm going to be thinking about that all weekend, like the comedy factor going on there. And it echoes a little bit on kind of what Lori mentioned around just, it's a pleasure to work with everyone in terms of the attitude, the smiles, just people can be themselves and kind of have fun with it and still tackle major things. So it's just a joy every day to kind of be here. And then on the personal side, my parents are arriving from Iowa and spending the weekend with us. So excited about that. And also that the Iowa Hawkeyes are #2 in the country after the Alabama loss. Hopefully we can hold on to it just a little bit longer, but I don't know if I have faith in the Hawkeyes. They eventually always mess it up. Eventually it was, some big like blowout. So
wishing you the best.
Yeah.
Marilla.
Yeah, levels wise, I think David Sinclair joining the advisory team is huge for me. Lifespan was just inspirational of like what human life and what the health space could be. Just, yeah, it really, it was one of those books that just sent me down, a rabbit hole of new information and just seeing what's possible. So super thrilled about that. Personally, still walking on cloud 9 over, a beautiful weekend. So yeah.
Congrats again. Justin.
Professionally, it's just been like a pleasure working with Steph like really closely and just seeing how fast she's ramped up and being able to contribute and actually like pays attention to the little details and questions things, and it just makes all of our lives easier and lots of fewer bugs to get out to members. And personally, it's my brother's birthday, or was it during the week, and we're going to have a pizza party on Sunday, and yeah, should be fun.
Very nice. Steph.
Thank you, Justin, for that call out. I feel the same way. It's been such a joy to work with you as well. Professionally, yeah, huge warm welcome to Jackie and Lauren. I'm super excited to have one-on-ones with both of you. And it's crazy of just like, I feel like I started yesterday still. And so it's wild to think that 2 months have already gone by and the team is continuing to grow. And so it's awesome to see that. And personally, yeah, I think Helena and I are going to enjoy another weekend of just beaching it, hopefully take a long bike ride. It's weird of the fact that it's October and it's still sunny and 80 degrees here. And so we're trying to make up with that by just making like pumpkin pancakes and whatnot. But yeah, enjoying the weather.
Very nice. Mike D.
Yeah, so definitely the team growth for a few different reasons. A, we're adding amazing people, and B, we're starting to be able to tackle issues that we've known about for a while that we couldn't with like a smaller team. It's awesome to see like the guided journey, even Nutritionist Marketplace, and then now with like food tagging and structured data. These things have been requested for a long time. B, I felt pretty awful the entire week. Thought I had COVID. I do not. This morning I started to feel a little bit better, and it's funny, you take things for granted. I'm just like really excited to be able to like jump back into work and feel well. Oh, one other thing. I like to try different workouts. I like to work out. And I was recently at Rumble, and one of the head trainers said, "Hey, that's levels on your arm." And I'm like, it is. Not sure how you know. So still awesome experience when that happens. So that's it.
Wild. Yeah, those types of things always blow my mind. I would say that for me personally and professionally, I think professionally, I just want to say so stoked about Tony and Lauren, Jackie, and the others that are pending start dates but have joined the team. It's crazy. I've just been blown away by the quality of the team and the quality of the people that want to come and be a part of this. And I think the results are speaking for themselves. Just looking at the development of the product and the pace and velocity and all this stuff, it's like as the team grows, the mission gets closer to accomplished, it seems like. So awesome stuff. Personally, personally coming down from cloud nine as well in terms of wedding, honeymoon, just being in the Greek islands. It was a stark reality when I stepped off that airplane into the gray Philadelphia fog after some time in Milos, tanning and diving into the Mediterranean. So yeah, a little bit, I wouldn't say depressed, just facing reality right now. So bear with me as I get my feet back under me. But no, it's been awesome to get back up to speed. And I will say, I have to shout out the asynchronous, well-documented culture that we have here. I never felt out of the loop. I just did a quick scan of threads and email in the evening. And since everything's so well documented and people are, the forums, for example, are keeping us all up to speed, I don't feel like I missed 2 weeks worth of stuff, which is often the case when you have a meeting culture. So that was also cool to experience. I think that's it. So we're right at time here. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Killer week and have a great weekend. Talk to you all soon.